Today for Full Album Friday, we're going all the way back to 1967 to look at Love's Forever Changes. When it comes to being a truly rebellious band, and maybe they were even the first hipsters, you've got these guys, because if you didn't know, when they were at the height of their fame, they absolutely refused to tour. Think about it, in the late 1960s, that kind of turns you into the ultimate underground band. Yes, they toured in their later years, but by that point, they were well past their prime. But the reality remains that their music is absolutely phenomenal, and this may be their best work. But this album was a massive shift, as the uniquely toned, big, heavy electric guitars that dominated their first two albums are almost completely absent on this record. And what ends up happening is it really pushes your ears to focus more intently on the lyrics and the vocals. Now things get even stranger on this album, because at the beginning of the recording process, Arthur Lee and Brian McLean, they replaced the entire rest of the band with studio musicians. And two of the songs featuring that group of musicians actually made it onto the final record. When the band members heard what was going on, they basically got their lives together as quickly as they could, got back to the studio, and they finished making this record. And then McLean would actually leave the band shortly after this was released to deal with his own addiction issues. But let's get to the music here, because it's something beyond fantastic. And I have to say, McLean's performance on the song Old Man is particularly brilliant, and there's nothing else like it in music. You also have the insanely talented guitarist Johnny Echols here, and if you didn't know, throughout his career, he played alongside guys like Miles Davis and Jimi Hendrix and a number of other big-time players. For my money though, the star of this record might actually be bassist Ken Foresee, as he really embraces the kind of odd arrangements put together by Arthur Lee. And you can even hear rumblings of some early punk rock sounds in his playing. But I can't talk about this record and not speak directly about Arthur Lee, as he's really the genius behind this. Arthur Lee could easily write circles around nearly all of his peers, and his voice is hypnotizing, never having to get anything resembling loud to have maximum impact. Along with this, Forever Changes goes against pretty much everything that was going on lyrically in that Summer of Love era. As Lee says, he believed he was dying, and the lyrics really reflect that dark, somber state. It's from that point of view where you get that completely captivating, almost haunting tone at every line. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what makes the singing on this record all the better. The band is able to work everything from horn sections to string sections on this album flawlessly. And you really have to give them credit for being able to deliver an album of this magnitude that was such a sharp turn from everything else they'd done musically to that point. This is just one of those records that for so many reasons you have to own and play regularly, and if somehow it's not in your collection, you need to change that right now. Thank me later.